The year is 1976. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak give life to their newest idea, the Apple Company. Iceland and the UK end their much heated debate about fishing known as the Cod Wars, and a little movie called Taxi Driver is released to the American people. A fresh-faced Robert De Niro with his Best Supporting Actor Oscar still clutched in his hands plays Travis Bickle for New Kid on the Block, Martin Scorsese's seminal cinematic masterpiece Taxi Driver, in which Travis, a taxi driver, slowly loses all hope in humanity and the people around him until he meets Iris, a 12-year-old prostitute who he believes needs saving from the life she lives. But it isn't the story of Taxi Driver that is interesting, it is the taxi driver himself that is fascinating. Travis Bickle is one of cinema's greatest characters and has been analysed by many great YouTubers and even one of cinema's greatest directors. All of them are expertly crafted and they have done their extensive research on the movie. But I want to talk about what stood out for me when it comes to Travis. His one quality that sets up the movie and carries Travis to his spiralling mental breakdown. There is no doubt in my mind that Travis Bickle is a character that doesn't have a trait to call his own, because the key moments in his life throughout the movie all relates back to the way Travis is influenced by the people around. From the ones he trusts to the ones he despises, Travis does what he does because of the people he interacts with. There are 5 people in Travis's life that impacts the way he acts and how he sees the world: Wizard, Betsy, Passenger, Sport, and Iris. And this is where I want to focus my analysis for Travis Bickle. If we look at chronological order of events, Wizard is the first person that impacts Travis to act in a certain way. Wizard is someone that Travis looks up to because he has been in the taxi game for a long time and he is seen as someone that has a lot of knowledge and wisdom. The way Travis looks at Wizard, we can see that respect for him, to the point that he even asks for some advice. But it's not the advice scene that I want to talk about, it is this scene.
She says it's love, I'm gonna fuck her brains out. She goes wild,
Wizard talks about how he goes and has sex with a woman in his taxi. At first appearance, this scene does not mean much, but Travis is enticed by what he is saying and absorbing every word. The next scene we see Travis pluck up the courage to talk to Betsy, a woman that he has been staring at for some time. Without Wizard influencing Travis with his story, would Travis have talked to Betsy? He did, however, talk to the concierge at the porno cinema before the Wizard scene, so it can be easily stated that even without the influence of Wizard, he would have talked to Betsy anyways. That can be true, but the nature and calmness of Travis is a far contrast to the jittering one before. If Wizard can pluck up the courage, why can't I? That one scene sets up Travis's story for the movie and leads him to the next person on the list. Betsy is far the most important person to Travis in the whole movie. Her relationship with him is what pulls Travis out of the sleazy wasteland he drives through, but to the bright-eyed girl who makes the sewer city into a rose petal haven. It is that power she has over Travis, who clearly feels deeply emotional about Betsy, which creates the monster by the end of the movie. At first, Travis plays to trick Betsy into believing his viewpoint on the world and the people around her. He is the one trying to influence her into seeing that the people around her are as bad as he thinks they are. But Betsy sees through that and even calls him out.
No, just the part about the contradictions. You are that.
They are not connected like Travis states. The first interaction we see in the cafe, they have nothing in common. Betsy is a music lover who supports pattern time. Travis, a loner who watches porn in the cinema. Betsy doesn't even understand Travis's jokes. They are the polar opposite. But Travis believes that because she is the pure in his life that they must be together, and when she decides to no longer see Travis, he cannot mentally take it. This is where we see Travis's disdain for relationships and where we see Travis at his lowest. You can see the content with relationships with his scornful look he gives to the couples dancing on telly and pointing his gun towards them and the breaking of his TV. But this is secondary to his mental breakdown of his relationship between him and Betsy. Travis clearly needed help at that point, but by being a loner, he couldn't get it. Even when he attempted to by talking to Wizard, he realizes that the man he looked up to is as clueless as everyone else. Travis never got the help he needed and went down a spiral. The bad ideas were scrambling around his head and all he needed was a catalyst to let them out, which he got when Betsy turned him away. Betsy was the influence for Travis to do what he thought was necessary.
You screwheads, here is a man
who would not take it anymore.
Travis loved Betsy and he couldn't have her. Betsy idolized Palantine, so she couldn't have him. In an attempt for Betsy to fill the void he felt when she disappeared in his life, Travis wanted Betsy to feel the same thing. But before the failed attempt to assassinate Palantine, Travis first had to get the idea of using a gun. Travis Bickle doesn't just take influence from people he had a connection with, he also takes influence from random strangers, just like with this guy, known as the passenger with silhouette. A man that has no backstory, he isn't someone we should know, but he is there to tell us how weak Travis is when it comes to people around him having the power to influence him. He is there to show us Travis will follow anyone and their judgment if it follows his beliefs. He hears what he wants to hear and sees what he wants to see so that he can follow his narrative. The scene where Travis sees black men staring at him in the cafe, were they there or was it in his head? Does he only see them because it fits his narrative that black men are the ones that are the danger to society, not himself? The idea of the passenger is to show us how easily Travis is manipulated and influenced. A random passenger can make Travis think about harming innocent lives.
I'm gonna kill her with a 44 Magnum pistol.
You got a 44 Magnum?
Sport's influence on Travis is minor, but still is a reason for cinema's most iconic look. Sport calls Travis a cowboy and claims he is a cop. This offends Travis, so when Sport said it and then after Iris calling Travis a narc, Travis changes his appearance, symbolising his path to his madness is complete. But it is the influence of Iris that becomes his redemption. Travis believes that this girl he has no connection to is someone that should be saved. She represents the scum and dirt he is abhorrent to. She is the one that needs cleansing. If the city can't be washed away, maybe Iris's prostitute life can instead. Travis failed with his assassination attempt on Palantine, which would fuel the streets with more of what Travis hates. But the girl that represents the scum on the streets becomes his saviour and his path changes. No longer is Travis the villain but the hero of his story, and the hero in other people's story too. But it isn't just characters that influence the path of Travis. Music is key in any film, from bombastic scores of hope to piano medleys of terror. Bernard Herrmann's work on Taxi Driver is legendary, and the use of a score that repeats is telling us that Travis is part of the scum he hates in his city. This is clear from Travis's theme being used throughout the movie. It is played against Travis and Sport, telling us that Travis is as lowly as a side street pimp.
Close to me like this, I feel so good.
Even in the end when Betsy's theme plays, this tries to tell us that Travis is no longer insane, no longer tormented by bad thoughts, but then we hear a reverb. Travis hasn't changed. He never will. Travis Bickle is cinema's greatest character because he can be interpreted in many ways. But for me, he is someone that doesn't even know who he is. Travis constantly becomes influenced by others that he loses his identity. Is he a war veteran, a local hero, or maybe just a lonely taxi driver?